Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Giri Baladhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Giri Baladhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranyana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kodanitai, Maya Poshashi, Kodanitai, Maya Poshashi. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. ISKCON Guruvrinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Lord Balaram's appearance day is fasting until noon. Shri Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He's equal in supremacy to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet wherever Krishna appears, Shri Baladev appears as Krishna's brother, sometimes elder, sometimes younger. Shri Balaram is the servant to Godhead who serves Lord Krishna in all affairs of existence and knowledge. The transcendental abode exists by the energy of Lord Balaram. Krishna's first expansion in a form for pastimes is Balaram. Balaram himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of the creation in the four other forms. In all forms, Balaram tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. Lord Balaram is constantly serving Krishna in every respect. In all of Krishna's incarnations and pastimes, Lord Balaram is always present serving Krishna in different forms and manifestations. In Ram Leela, Balaram serves Lord Ramachandra as his younger brother Lakshman. In Kali Yuga, Sri Balaram spreads the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya as Lord Nityananda. Lord Balaram is called Dauji, the elder brother who protects and cares for the younger brother. Powerful Lord Balaram is 16 years old, full of the luster of youth, and has a fair complexion of the color of crystal. Balaram wears blue garments and a garland of forest flowers. Baladev's hand hair is tied in a graceful top knot. Splendid earrings adorn Balaram's ears. Shri Baladev's neck is splendidly decorated with garlands of flowers and strings of jewels. Splendid bracelets and armlets ornament Dauji's graceful and very strong arms. Balaram's feet are decorated with splendid jeweled anklets. Shri Baladev is Shri Krishna's dearest friend. Baladev is a great reservoir of the nectar, mellows of many kinds of transcendental pastimes. Lord Balaram's beauty is enhanced by the earrings touching his cheeks. Balaram's face is decorated with tilak made from musk, and Balaram's broad chest is ornamented with a garland of gunja, small, black, red, and white berries native to Vrindavan. Shri Baladev's complexion is as white as an autumn cloud. His voice is very grave, and his arms are very long, touching his thighs. Shri Balaram ki. So Srila Prabhupada's departure from the USA. When Srila Prabhupada as a young man first met his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, told him to preach Lord Chaitanya's message throughout the whole world. Srila Prabhupada spent a lifetime in preparation. He was always meditating on how to fulfill the spiritual master's instruction. After many unsuccessful attempts, Srila Prabhupada finally found a sponsor in the USA, Mr. Gopal Agarwal in Butler, Pennsylvania, with whose letter of invitation Srila Prabhupada could go to America. He spent months before his departure obtaining his visa for the United States, his P-form, a statement from the Bank of India, certifying that the person had no excessive debts in India and is cleared by the banks. He was also seeking supporters and contacts for his future Srimad Bhagavatam publication. Finally, on the 13th of August, 1965, he boarded the Jaladuta, a regular cargo carrier of the Scindia Steam Navigation Company. Arun Pandit was the ship's captain. Srila Prabhupada had only a suitcase, an umbrella, and a supply of dry cereal. His main baggage, several trunks of his books, was being handled separately by Scindia Cargo. 200 3-volume sets of first canto Srimad Bhagavatam. The very thought of the books gave him confidence. In the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, we can read the following account of Srila Prabhupada's departure. Mr. Bhattacharya and Bhaktivedanta Swami took a taxi down to the Calcutta port. Bhaktivedanta Swami was carrying a Bengali copy of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which he intended to read during the crossing. Somehow, he would be able to cook on board, or if not, he could starve, wherever Krishna desired. He checked his essentials: passenger ticket, passport, visa, P-form, sponsor's address. Finally, it was happening. Srila Prabhupada, with great difficulty, I got out of the country. Some way or other, by Krishna's grace, I got out so I could spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Otherwise, to remain in India, it was not possible. I wanted to start a movement in India, but I was not at all encouraged. The black cargo ship, small and weathered, was moored at the dockside, a gangway leading from the dock to the ship's deck. Indian merchant sailors curiously eyed the elderly saffron-dressed sadhu as he spoke last words to his companion in the taxi, and then left him and walked determinedly towards the boat. For thousands of years, Krishna Bhakti had been known only in India, not outside, except in twisted, faithless reports by foreigners, and the only swamis to have reached America had been non-devotees, Mayavadi impersonalists. But now, Krishna was sending Bhaktivedanta Swami as his emissary, Mr. Bhattacharya. He was a lone fighter. When he left, there was no one on the shore to bid him goodbye. No friends, no supporter, no disciple, nobody. Even if you call me, I was not a disciple of his. I was a disciple of somebody else. So I was not his follower. But due to shared love, I had very much respect for him. So I was the only person standing on the shore to say to him goodbye. No one was with me. I could not know that it was such an important thing. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, if it's okay with the devotees, thank you. Oh yeah. So it was okay with the devotees. I was going to read a few of these stories. They're in the little Krishna book by Shubhra Leela Prabhu. Shubha Vilas, sorry. Shubha Vilas. And they just give you a little insight into what Balaram was like, or what he is like, what he's always like, wherever he's performing his pastimes now. So this is the butterfly story. Let's see, very close, sorry. Oh. I'll just refer back to the... Oh yeah, sorry, chapter 7, okay. So this chapter is called Butterfly Attack. Balaram. The rainy season had just got over and the weather was pleasant in Vrindavan. This was my favorite time of the year. This is Balaram speaking. When Vrindavan is lush and green. We got to play all we wanted all over Vrindavan on the soft grass. But on this day we had a funny encounter. Not just funny, but very funny. When the weather was so good outside, who wanted to remain inside, the house locked up? I pulled Kanya, my darling brother, and ran towards the door. Our mothers had already dressed us nicely. I was wearing my favorite blue dress, and Kanya was wearing his favorite yellow dress. Our mothers had put beautiful turbans on our heads too. Though the turban was heavy, they told us that we looked like small kings wearing them. Parents have a different sense of dressing. When we entered the forest, we changed the dressing to our style, which meant forest flowers, fruits, and leaves. We liked these gold and diamond Who liked these gold and diamond necklaces and bracelets? Anyway, that is for later. Let me tell you what happened in the morning as soon as we opened the doors of our house. We were many boys rushing out together at the time. Bhadra was there, Sridham was there, Subal was there, and so were many more. We were so happy to get to play so early in the morning, jumping, dancing, and talking animatedly. Our excited group reached the door of the house. We pushed it open, and then it happened. A butterfly happened. An orange-colored butterfly came fluttering in through the open doorway. We were fascinated by its color. As we stared at it with wide open eyes, it circulated us and chose to land on my head. I froze. In my 3 years of existence, Never had any insect sat on me. I didn't know what to do now. But Kanya got really angry. He was saying, how dare this lonely butterfly sit on my Tao's head? My brother is a king. How dare this insect sit on the king's turban? I was now more amused by his anger than at the butterfly. As I was wondering how to manage the butterfly on my head, Kanya began to wave his fingers over my head with great speed, trying to shoo away the butterfly that had made my turban its destination. With all the hand movements, the butterfly took off from my head. All our friends became excited at Kanya's success. He had moved the arrogant butterfly. Everyone began to clap and celebrate his achievement. Kanya felt proud and was all smiles. Suddenly, his smile faded and a look of panic set in on his beautiful face. He screamed out loud. This was totally unexpected. The orange butterfly that had flown off my turban and now landed on Kanya's finger. Initially, the butterfly was moving on the finger, probably adjusting itself into a cozy position, and then it settled down and stopped moving completely. Just like the butterfly had frozen on his finger, Kanya had frozen onto the floor. He wasn't moving an inch. Only his eyes and eyebrows were moving, and his mouth was screaming. He was desperately trying to tell us to save him from that butterfly. We began to laugh loudly at his plight. He looked so cute in panic mode. But why would I shoo the butterfly off from Kanya's hand? I could never shoo anyone away from Kanya. I loved to bring everyone close to him. But seeing his desperate situation, all of us did our best to help little Kanya. We waved our hands, jumping up and down, running all over, screaming and yelling, but nothing worked. The butterfly was stuck permanently on Kanya's finger. Kanya was scared to even move his finger, not wanting to harm the delicate creature, but he was more scared for his finger. What if the butterfly ate it up? I was thinking that once someone takes shelter with Kanya, why would they even think of leaving? I was almost sure that that butterfly would never ever fly away, just like all of his friends who never wanted to leave his company. But what happened next was even more unbelievable. From out of nowhere, thousands of butterflies came fluttering into our house through the doorway. They were of all colors, sizes, ages, wing patterns, and shapes. They began to circumambulate us as we panicked and screamed at the top of our voices, as if attacked by dangerous demons. Kanya was frozen with just one butterfly, but now with thousands of them around, he was totally hysterical, and he joined in our screaming spree. Soon all these butterflies perched themselves on us. They sat on any part of our bodies that caught their fancy. Shoulders, arms, heads, bellies, backs, everywhere. In moments, all of us were covered by a blanket of hundreds of butterflies of various colors. Could it be that our bright turbans, bright clothing, and small sizes had given them the impression that we were all small flowers full of nectar? Kanya surely was. Everyone in Vrindavan loved him so much, so he must surely be very sweet to taste. For the butterflies, it was a festival time. Our screams only managed to move them from one limb of our body to another, and some moved from one boy to another. By now, the butterflies had become quite bold and fearless. We were in big trouble. We were in a very sticky situation. We could no longer help each other now. We needed external help of adults. We began to shout for our mothers to rescue us. My mother Rohini and Kanya's mother Yashoda came running, hearing our calls. They were stunned at the sight they saw. All our bodies were completely covered by beautiful and colorful butterflies. The mothers tried their best, waving their hands, shooing away the butterflies. But the butterflies had become so stubborn that they sat on them too. Now, what could we do? Jai. Krishna Balaram ki Jai. And there's another one. Yeah, Kanya is Krishna. Kanya, yeah. Kanaya. Sometimes Kana. Kana. Dauji. So there was another one as well, which was really, really nice. So this is a story by Revati, and it's how Krishna helped me to marry Lord Balaram. So, I am Revati, but in my last life I was Jayotsamati, born of a Yogya Kund and then adopted by Manu. As Jyotishmati, there was no shortage of love and affection in my life, But also, I reached the age when my father Manu thought I should get married. The question was to whom? I was very clear about that. I could never marry an ordinary man. I would only marry someone who was strong and all-powerful, nothing less than that. Now the search began for the one who was capable to attract my heart. On earth there are strong men, but no one could claim to be the strongest. Neither could Indra, Vayu, or the other devatas in heaven stake a claim on that title. Who then was that personality who possessed all the strength? We finally concluded that it is none other than Lord Ananta, who could hold the entire universe on just one of his hoods. Identifying the personality did not solve our problem. How does one approach Lord Ananta with a marriage proposal? My father had no clue. Neither did anyone else. He was out of reach, even for devatas. He could be seen only when he wished to be. I was in a fix. I knew I wanted him as my life partner. I knew he was my dream partner, but I had no way of sending my message of love to him. Marrying him was like a distant dream. The days were filled with turmoil. It was very difficult to nurture a broken heart. I was drifting into a world of loneliness, cutting off all contact with my near and dear ones, preferring to simply be alone with the pain of separation from my venerable Lord. Thankfully, those dreadful days did not last long, and my father Manu, unable to see my grief, came up with a suggestion. Daughter, there is only one way to attract the mercy of Lord Ananta, and that is by means of austerities. If you are up to it, I recommend you take a vow of austerities, following which you will surely attain your goal. My eyes lit up. There was indeed a way out. However difficult it seemed, it was worth a try. I was determined to make it work somehow. I took my father's blessings, set out on the arduous road. I was rather excited. Something told me I was a step closer to my goal. It would take time, no doubt, but I was on the right path. With my hope in my heart and a prayer on my lips, my new life began. However, I was not quite prepared for what followed. My sincere absorption in meditation attracted the devatas, Indra, Yama, Kubera, Agni, Varuna, Surya, Shukra, Shani, and a host of others queued up wanting my hand in marriage. It was a distraction that really got on my nerves. One by one, they would come out and put forth their request. In spite of refusing their proposals and making it clear that I wanted only Ananta, the message was not getting through to them. Here I was trying to focus on my Lord, but these devatas had an agenda of their own, hampering my penance. I could not control my wrath any further, and much to their shock, I heaped curses on all of them for interrupting my sadhana. That did not go down well with the King of Heaven, Lord Indra. He was livid that I had cursed them for no fault of theirs. They had not harmed me or cheated me in any way. So why the curse? You could have simply refused our proposals, he argued, instead of cursing innocent beings. I curse you that even after attaining Lord Ananta, you will not have the bliss of motherhood. Only when Lord Ananta undoes the curses you heaped on us will your curse be reversed. Although I was shaken by what he had said, everyone knew that eventually I did mother two handsome boys. I continued my days with severe austerities, and the glow of my body increased day by day. A time came when I was a ball of fire, and Lord Brahma was in panic mode because the heat that my fire could destroy his creation. Seated on his swan, he immediately appeared before me and requested me to halt my austerities, lest I turn everything into ashes. Your wish to attain Lord Ananta will not be fulfilled as of now. You will have to wait for the Vaisvat Manvantara, for Lord Ananta to appear in Dwapara Yuga. I propose you that then he will accept you as his partner. Till then, you can come and stay in my Brahmaloka. I was ready to take birth again and again to attain my Lord. I was willing to burn in the fire of even more austerities. I was willing to wait till the end of time, as long as it pleased my Lord, and he accepted me. I left with Lord Brahma. The wheel of time turned, and I was reborn as Revati in the dynasty of the Vaisvat Manu. King Kakundum was my illustrious father, eldest son of King Revata, in the line of King Anata and King Sharyati. My father had performed a yajna because he had no child, and I was born as Revati. And once again, my father wondered who would be a suitable match for me, his exquisite daughter. Compelled by an inner voice, I suggested he visit Lord Brahma for advice. Lord Brahma would surely know who he had created for me. Seeing merit in the suggestion, he took me along and we went to Brahmaloka. Inside the court, we found Lord Brahma immersed in the divine music of the Gandharvas. When the music ended, he turned his attention towards us, and my father put forth his request. Hearing that, Lord Brahma burst into laughter. He said, "Noble king, the few minutes passed in Brahmaloka have been equal to many yugas on earth. By the time you return, all the eligible men you know will have been wiped out by time." My father went numb hearing that. But Lord Brahma had not forgotten his promise. He said, "O king, please return to earth and go to Madhupuri. There you will find an earring-clad, plough-carrying, mace-wielding, golden-hued boy dressed in blue. He is the personification of Lord Ananta. He is the groom you are looking for." We wasted no time in leaving Brahmaloka. Lord Ananta was at the banks of River Jamuna with his brother. They were surprised to see two huge figures descending from the sky. Compared to their size, we were gigantic. Both of us stood facing them. Far from being startled, Lord Sankarshan asked for our introduction. Nothing ever surprised the two brothers. "I am King Kakudum, son of King Revata, from the first Satya Yuga of this Manvantar," said my dignified father. "And this is my daughter Revati, born from a Yajna-kund. Lord Brahmaji has ordered me to give my daughter's hand to you in marriage. Please accept this proposal." Before anyone could say anything, Lord Krishna spoke. "Oh, illustrious king, we are fortunate to accept your daughter's hand in marriage for my brother. I accept the proposal on his behalf." What? Was I really hearing these words of acceptance? This was too good to be true. Lord Krishna did not give his brother a chance to speak. He had immediately accepted the proposal as if he'd been waiting for us to come. Lord Balaram raised no objection. Such was their bonding. Happily, my father gave my hand to Lord Balaram and announced that he would now spend his days in the Himalayas doing penance. My presence in the wedding will create inconvenience, and I do not want that. He was right. Even the tallest of the trees of Dwapara Yuga only reached his knees. How would they accommodate him during the wedding? How would they serve him? Not that he would even accept a drop of water here. He departed immediately. After he left, Lord Krishna said, "Brother, just look at sister-in-law's huge size," and he laughed rather hysterically. "Wait a minute," responded Lord Balaram. He picked up his divine plough and placed it on my shoulder. What was on his mind? Applying pressure, he pushed the plough down. As the plough went down, so did I. Suddenly, I was no longer looking down at them. I was, in fact, looking up at them. He had resized me. Now I reached his ears. My jewelry, clothes, and everything had resized to fit my body. I turned red with embarrassment. Lord Krishna was now running off to spread the news of this alliance. I felt a wave of gratitude for Lord Krishna. It was he who had readily accepted me, and Lord Balaram had mutely accepted Lord Krishna's acceptance. I was overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. I had reached my destination. Gargacharya fixed the wedding date. There was exhilaration in the air. I heard that for the first time, Lord Krishna was excited about something. He personally supervised all the arrangements. I will always be thankful to him for his kindness he bestowed on me. I was finally part of the divine family. Shri Balaram ki Revati Nandana Gopala. So I was just going to read Yada Yada Hida Masya and do a general class about how the Lord appears and why he appears, if that's okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Bhagavad Gita, which chapter is Yada Yada? Yeah. So I read this the other day, and it's only occurred to me after 40 years that after the two verses, the next verse is Janma Karma Chime Divyam Evan Yo Vatitapata Chikvadayam Panajama Naiti Mameti Sojana. So I'll go back to that in a minute, but there's some significance there. So Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, Text 7, Yada Yada Hida Masha Glanti Bhavati Bhadata Abhutanam Adamasha Tadatmanam Shijam Yaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descent of Bharat and the predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Patranaya sadhunam vinashya chaduskritam dharma samstapanataya sambhavame yuge yuge, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So I'll read the purport. Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya. According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, a holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualification of Krishna consciousness, wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And duskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or duskritam are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education. Whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well-cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear, as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demon Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa, she and her husband were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than to kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore, it is said that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses, Madhya-lila 20:263-264, summarize these principles of incarnation. Shrishti hetu ye murti prapanche avatare, se ishvara murti avatar namadare, mayata paravyome sabara asvatana, vishve avatari dhari avatar nama. The avatar, or incarnation of Godhead, descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead who descends is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Lila avatars, Shakta Avesh avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Shri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly, but not directly, in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as the Upanishads, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. Shishi Koranitai Maya Poshashi Ki Jaya. So, some interesting points. And then the next verse, one who knows, Janma Karma Chime Divyam Evam Yobati Tatvara Chikvadayam Panajama Naitimam Etisojana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So that's kind of showing that, well, this is the fruit of understanding the previous two verses. Once you understand why the Lord appears and the nature of his appearance, then you're eligible for going back. And that's the reason also why he appears. He appears to deliver the devotees. So once you understand that he's here to deliver us, then you're delivered. The question is, do you understand? So the process of understanding, there's a superficial understanding where you can say 2 + 2 = 4. And then you say, do you understand? And then they say, yeah, 2 + 2 = 4. Yeah, I understand. So that's a very superficial. Then you can say, Krishna and Balaram appear to deliver the unalloyed devotees. Do you understand? Well, I'm in the process. Because Krishna also says, one who understands worships me with all their heart. Aham savasya prabhava. One who understands this truth worships me with all their hearts. So the symptom of one who understands is he's worshipping the Lord with all his heart. If he's not worshipping the Lord with all his heart, then he doesn't understand. He's in the process, but he doesn't yet. But he could be associating with somebody that is worshipping the Lord with all his heart. And by his association, he can push us along. So we can say, okay, well, this is what it looks like when you understand. This is how you behave. This is your attitude, your disposition, once you understand. And generally, that's the spiritual master. Spiritual master is showing us what the goal is and pushing us toward that goal. And the spiritual master's job is always to push the disciples forward. And the reason why we have to be pushed is because if we're left to our own resources, then default is to relax and just go, just take it easy, just find it easy. The path of least resistance is generally the default. And the spiritual master is shaking us and pushing us. And Lord Balaram is the original Adi Guru, the original spiritual master. So he's pushing. One time, there was a Harinam party, and some of the ladies were being quite disturbed. There was some characters, and they were pushing the ladies around and being very disrespectful to them. And then this bus just pulled up at the side of the Harinam party, and it just touched the shoulder of one of these hooligans, and immediately he just collapsed to the floor dead. And they asked Srila Prabhupada about it later, and he said that was Balaram's club. See, if you worship Lord Jagannath, he's 100% merciful, the same as Lord Chaitanya. He's in the mood of just giving that love. He's in Maha. That's why all those limbs have gone in. But if you worship Lord Jagannath with Balaram and Subhadra, Balaram, if you do something wrong, then he hits you with the club. So you have to be careful. Because we should always be careful anyway. But so he watches over his brother, make sure everything's okay for him. He appears before Krishna to make sure the womb is ready for him and everything is perfect. And when Krishna comes to destroy and appears millennium after millennium, Krishna never comes alone. He always comes with his entourage. And the same with Lord Chaitanya. The same personalities come again. And Lord Balaram comes again as Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda is always serving Lord Chaitanya, always there to catch him and facilitate him in all his pastimes. So he's the ideal servant, and he's showing us also what the mood and the surrender should be like, and then we can follow in his footsteps. So Srila Prabhupada makes a very interesting point in the purport. He says, a holy man is a person who's Krishna conscious. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualification of being Krishna conscious, wholly and fully, he's to be understood to be a sadhu. So sometimes a very Krishna conscious person is also referred to as an avadut, and he'll behave in a way which is irregular according to the caste Brahmin system, and he'll do things very spontaneously. And so for that reason, he could be considered imperfect. But from Krishna's point of view, the person is perfect because he's holy and fully conscious of Krishna. Duskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness, and these miscreants. And what's interesting also here is Prabhupada says that Krishna comes to kill these miscreants. But in the most recent incarnation of Balaram, Lord Nityananda, then he doesn't come to kill the miscreants. He comes to kill the ignorance of the miscreants. And Lord Nityananda says to Lord Chaitanya, says, if you kill Jagai and Madai, then you're going to have to kill everybody, because they're all just what it's like in Kali Yuga. So Lord Chaitanya accepts, okay. So Lord Balaram is kinder, more merciful than Krishna. And so he's easier to approach. So we try to please Krishna through Lord Balaram, and then by his mercy. And we please Lord Balaram by pleasing our Guru, our spiritual master. And for those that are initiated, they can maybe testify that when you're connected to a spiritual master, a pure devotee, then spiritual life becomes a lot easier. It's very can be very difficult and overwhelming at times. And if the communication breaks down between you and your spiritual master, and you're not able to connect with them anymore, and then suddenly you are able to connect, and he's pleased with you and he's happy with everything that you're doing, then it's such a relief. It gives you so much confidence that, okay, as long as I'm pleasing him. Very, very simple. And for those that are in separation, when Srila Prabhupada left, the test for his disciples was, can they still connect with Srila Prabhupada through his Vani? Because some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples didn't have very much association with Srila Prabhupada at all, but they took his Vani, his instruction. In fact, even Srila Prabhupada himself, he didn't have so much association with his Guru Maharaj, but he took the Vani very seriously. And when he was going to see, sometimes they were looking at a particular building and be thinking, what do you think, Srila Prabhupada? And then Srila Prabhupada would say, yes, my Guru Maharaj likes this building. And all the time, he said he was with the spiritual master. So if you are fully following the Vani, the instruction of the spiritual master, then the spiritual master is always very close to you. Which means also Lord Balaram is very close to you. Any questions or comments? Yes, Ashish, and then Panchu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. When and who can go into reading Krishna Balaram's pastimes?
When can you? Shiva Ramakrishna describes 4 different types of reading in Shuddhabhakti Chintamani, and one is incidental, which is where you just read through the whole of Bhagavad Gita, then the whole of the Bhagavatam, and then the whole of the Sisa. That's the sequence. And as you're going through the Bhagavatam, you will come across, and that type of, when you come through into the 10th canto, then incidentally you'll be reading. It won't be specific. That's when you're more advanced, when you're at the stage of Ruchi. And then eventually the highest stage is Astakaliya Lila, where you just read about the 8-fold pastimes and you meditate on them during the course of the day. That's when you're very advanced. And Shiva Ramakrishna's book, Sankalpa Kaumudi, is all about finding out what level you are at and understanding where's the next step you need to take. Niyamagraha by Rupa Goswami is referred to as one of the things which will spoil devotional service. It's when you're impertinent and you step beyond what you're actually qualified to read, or due to laziness, you won't take the next step that you're qualified to take. If you've been doing steady devotional service for, I think Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said 20 or 30 years, then you're eligible. And if you say, no, I'm too fallen, but you've been following steadily 20, 30 years, then you should be addressing that and taking the next step forward, And Shiva Ramakrishna has just been speaking to Gadadhar Prabhu. He used to be the head Pujari, and he must have some serious problems with his health right now, because he's had to have the house changed so that he just lives downstairs because he can't go up the stairs anymore, And so Shiva Ramakrishna is saying to him, who do you think you are? He said, there's only 2 things you can be, a Gopa or a Gopi. He says, what do you think you are? So he's saying, no, that's a very advanced devotee who's been doing devotional service for a long time, 4 decades, maybe 4.5 now. And so he's encouraging them, don't be reticent to try and assert who you are, to try and find out who you are. But that's at a much more advanced stage, Everything comes in due course. You can't force the fruit to ripen before it's supposed to ripen. Well, sometimes they do, actually. That's why the fruit tastes weird, because they force ripe the fruit. They pick it unripe, then they gas it, and then they force ripe it. And then it's just not quite right, So we shouldn't do that with devotional service. And if you're not sure where you're at and what the next step is to take, then that's why you need a spiritual master. If you don't have that, you're just going by what you think, then what you think could be wrong.
The pastime of Rohini, you're reading?
Oh, yeah.
Is Balaram not known as Rohini Nandan? The son of Rohini. But then it seemed like there's a different sort of relationship there. I couldn't quite.
Oh.
Revati. So, okay. Revati is, okay, sorry. I'm confused.
Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Kartikeya,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
So Balaram comes with Krishna every time to facilitate everything for Krishna.
Yeah.
So who was Balaram in Narsingh Leela and Varaha Leela?
He's very learned.
I'm not sure the answer on the question, but usually it's like different types of avatars and different relationships with Krishna. So, there's like Yuga avatara, Leela avatars, and etc. So a lot of avatars. We have a very nice seminar, but it's in Russian language with Bijabasi Prabhu. I don't know how many years he speak about different type of avatars. Every year for like 5 days seminar for I don't know how many years. On the festival he gave the seminar. Yeah. So the first idea come to my mind. Yes, it's about this, but Karan Chandra Prabhu, I'm sure he would.
I have an idea. I don't know I don't heard answer, but from what I heard about this, maybe I can make some conclusion that Varaha and Nrisimha is Vishnu, and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. So Swaya Bhagavan, the Adi, Krishna himself. But Varaha, Nrisimha, and so on, this is Vishnu avatar. So, and when Krishna comes personally, so Balaram comes. Krishna, Balaram, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nityananda. So maybe this can be answered.
Lakshman came with Lord Ramachandra. But for sure, Lord Balaram, he's served not only like, when he came like directly, like a brother, but he also came in like clothes of Krishna's clothes, so, and some kind of, paraphernalia. Like, for example, for now, we're sitting on the floor in temple room. It's Lord Balaram, This paraphernalia with, we offer in puja, it's the same. It's also Balaram, Lord Balaram. It's not just, in our way of understanding, it's okay, he's supposed to be his brother, but also he came, even as Ananta Manjari, so it's not so easy question, not so direct question.
Anyway, you can find out for us, Kartikeya. The next time we have class, you can tell us. It's a good question. Yeah, Ananta Sheikh was in the background. Yeah. That's also true. There should always be questions, actually. Otherwise, we're not really, because the process of hearing is that there should also be questions because you're trying to assimilate things. So naturally, there would be a questioning going on. You'd be categorizing it and trying to figure out how that fitted in with that, So it's a natural symptom of hearing is that there's questions also. This one is by a devotee called Shubha Vilas, and it's Brij Basi stories. So sometimes you'll hear Brij Basi stories. So there may not be a scriptural. He says that in the beginning of the book. The mood of the stories is very nice, illuminates. There's one story I can't find right now, but it shows how Balaram is very, very kind. Sometimes Krishna's a bit funny. He does like tricky things, you know. And this devotee is getting really upset. And Krishna's finding it really funny that the devotee is getting upset. And Balaram steps in. He goes to Dauji, says, you know, and then Balaram helps him, you know. So it gives you a glimpse into the rasa that's taking place, you know. The mood and the emotion. And Sri Brahmash was just making a very powerful point in Soho Street. Prabhupada Prana probably knows he was there for the class. And he was saying, there's a particular statement that Srila Prabhupada makes in the books. And then he asks, does anyone know what that means? Talks about indirectly and directly loving Krishna. And the devotee didn't know what it meant. But if you didn't know, Srila Prabhupada said, we have to also study the books of the Goswamis as well. So initially we read all Srila Prabhupada's books, and when we've read them, then by going deeper into it, and then we can find these stories that are here, and they give a more profound understanding of what Srila Prabhupada has given us, you know. And then we read between the lines when Prabhupada is saying indirectly and directly love Krishna. That means something, but you wouldn't know just by that what that meant. Then you'd have to look into the Goswamis to see what that meant. So you know, initially when we first hear the Leela, when I first heard the Leela of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill, I was thinking he must have tilted it on its side and then run really fast underneath to catch it. Then as he lifted it up, there must have been all like worms, you know, dropping down, and beetles crawling around his arms, and bits of roots, you know. But then we find out later on, they'll probably change the paintings in the books, you know, that the underneath of Govardhan Hill was shaped like a big peacock feather. And it was expanding and contracting, showing that it could give support to the entire universe if it wanted to. And that Krishna came underneath Govardhan, under a tunnel, and then climbed up onto a crystal dais. And as he stood on it and held Govardhan, the distance was 30 meters from the basin that had been created to the ceiling. So these are all details that are there that the Goswamis are explaining. Sri Ramanuja explains this in his book. So wow, okay. So then we get a better understanding. So then there'll be more detail in the paintings. You're going to say something?
Yeah, if you look in the Hare Krishna, if you look in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 1 chapter 5, you see the glories of Lord Nityananda, and in there expands the glories of Lord Nityananda, who is also Balaram. So he's known as Mahavishnu or Mahasankarshan, first of all, and then Karano Dakashai Vishnu, Abhu Dakashai Vishnu, and Shiru Dakashai Vishnu, and also Shesha. So Shesha takes two forms. He assists, in all these forms, he assists in Krishna's pastimes. Lord Balaram always assists Krishna in his pastimes, like you're saying, as paraphernalia, etc. And also as Sheshanag. So in answer to Kartik's question, and what Pip says is Lord Nrsimhadev was assisted in his pastimes by Sheshanag. That was the expansion of Balaram.
I would like also to thank you for, you mentioned these verses from Bhagavad Gita, and just, I think, 2 points on this topic. First of all, one of previous verses, again, from the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Ajopisam avyatma bhutanam ishvarapisan prakrtim svamudishtaya svambhavamatmaya. This verse also, like, you know, in the same line. So in this verse we understand this: I'm coming with my like eternal energy, sambhavam atma maya, and so just by understanding this is like he's coming not like, you know, according to his karma, but because of his desire to come. And Srila Prabhupada on this point, he told us that not like understand Krishna, but how to say, Prabhupada you used to say, try to understand Krishna, just try to understand Krishna. So it's enough even just to try to understand Krishna, you know. Obviously we can't understand Krishna, you know? It's impossible, but if you're just trying to understand, that's a very good point. Yes.
There's a verse in the Bhagavatam, isn't it? Kritivam kilakamani saharamani keshava atamachani bhagavan guda kapata manushaha. Lord Krishna came along with Balaram and played the part of normal human beings, but they were actually superhuman, superpower. Any other questions or comments?
How do you get the mercy of Lord Balaram?
How do you get the mercy? Well, the mercy of Lord Balaram comes in one form or another. It could come in the form of his club if you step out of line. But the best mercy is to please the spiritual master. And then if the spiritual master is pleased, then you know Balaram is pleased also. And then you become empowered. Because what we're trying to do is actually an impossible task. Durachaya means it's actually impossible to overcome the material energy. And then not only to overcome the material energy, to spread an energy which is antithetical to the material energy. You know, the very thing the material energy is doing is keeping the living entities here, and we're trying to take the living entities out. We're trying to get out ourselves, and we're trying to take the living entities out. So it's an extremely difficult thing to try to do. So we have to take shelter. It's only if we're dependent and we take shelter. But then suddenly we experience that we can do the most amazing things. I mean, just a simple thing. We were on Harinam yesterday, and immediately you feel protected and empowered and uninhibited to be able to go and interact. And you can see people are attracted. That's why they're taking drugs. That's why they're buying big cars. That's why they're working so hard. They want that same freedom from anxiety and being uninhibited and feeling protected. So that special empowerment is there for anyone to access immediately, if we're just willing to comply, which is what was being asked of us, to spread Krishna consciousness and to cooperate together nicely. One of the incarnations, there's different demons that Krishna kills. When Krishna breathes in the forest fire, there's a particular anartha, an unwanted thing that it destroys, intracommunal conflict. So if you're experiencing intracommunal conflict, then you meditate on the pastime of Krishna breathing in the fire. And he's taking in the fire of ourself, who would maybe be agitated and react in a fiery way towards somebody, and also breathing in the fire of that person who is also causing some disturbance. Everyone's fire gets taken in. And so yeah, how to get the mercy of when Lord Nityananda gave shelter to initially Jagai, because Jagai had protected Lord Chaitanya, then Madai, Jagai had protected. So then Lord Nityananda says, well, you can't harm him because he saved my life. So immediately Lord Chaitanya was like, okay, forget everything else. You've protected Lord Nityananda, so you're off the hook. And Madai had to work a bit harder, but he also eventually was saved. But you can see that's a very simple lesson to learn, is just try to please Lord Nityananda, try to protect Lord Chaitanya's movement, try to take up some responsibility. The devotees that take up responsibility make more advancement because it's more difficult. It's easier not to take the initiative and be a Krishna conscious cloud that just floats around looking for halava and trying to do easy stuff. You know, you can be a Krishna conscious cloud. But if you become a leader, then you get the shelter and the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Balaram.
Strength. So what would that spiritual strength mean?
Your spiritual strength, Srila Prabhupada, he says that there was these personalities in India that were going around drinking ghee, and they had massive muscles, and they were saying, we are Bala Bhaktas, we have the strength, we are very strong, we are the Bala, and then pushing these like skinny little Bengalis, you're not Bala, devotee, I am bad, I am strong. So Prabhupada was saying, this isn't the type of strength that we're looking for is the strength of being humble. It's the hardest austerity. The most difficult austerity is to be humble. It is so difficult to see somebody is better than you. You know, even you think, yeah, that was good. He did do that better than me, but look at the rest of them. You know, I'm way, way ahead of him. No, you know, I mean, okay, he's okay. He can do a few books. I mean, that's fine. Have you heard him sing? Whew. Seen the way he puts his dhoti on? Whew. It's so difficult. And if you can get the strength to bear the weight of humility, then you're a very powerful person, you know. Especially if you do have qualifications and excuses for not being humble. And then you still decide, well, yeah, okay, I can run circles around this guy, but he's still better than me. That really melts the Lord's heart. He was saying to Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya said, look, cool off, you know, this is just too humble. I can't handle it. It's breaking my heart. Look, just be a little bit proud at least, you know. I can't take it. You know? And Sanatana Goswami was just so qualified and felt so unworthy. It's such an unusual combination you never see, you know, in the material world, you know. You see with some devotees, they're very unqualified, and that's why they're humble, because they can't get anything together. And then you see some devotees, they're really together, but they find it so hard to be humble, because they're so good at everything. We have one devotee here that was like that. He was so expert at everything he did. But the one thing he just couldn't get the hang of was Trinada Pisa Nichana Torora Pisa Hishna, you know. It's the most austere thing. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains real humility means everybody is better than you, not just initiating sannyasis, but even traffic wardens and lollipop ladies. Everyone is better than you. That's actual humility.
Just a few thoughts come to my mind also regarding this Lord Balaram and your question. We know from Krishna Lila that there are, you know, like daily sadhana, some demons came and just to stop their Lila, and they can go and eat something. But there are like few particular demons who was killed by Lord Balaram. And so this spiritual strength, you know, like Dhenukasura, for example, yes, his pride personified, yes. And so this false pride is killed by Lord Balaram. So by the mercy of spiritual master. Actually, like all the demons who killed by Krishna, this is like anarchas from our heart, which went just with our spiritual practice. We just keep going and they went. But there's two particular demons who killed by Lord Balaram. This is what we're supposed to do by ourselves, by the mercy of spiritual master, yes. And so this is Dhenukasura, this is false pride, so humility, yes, what Adhoksaja told, and also Pralambasura. And I believe it's like, Pralamba means like very long. Yes, Ashish Prabhu is the correct translation from Sanskrit. Pralamba. Lamba means something very long, and pra means very, very long, you know, so it's like very big demon. And I think his personal like 5 qualities, I forgot, but main of them is deceit. Cheating. Yeah. Also, it's about, like, I heard this again from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this is lust, kama, yeah. So lust desires. So this is like Pralambasura and Dhenukasura. This is 2 particular demons, and so this is spiritual strength, means that is what gave us, spiritual master gave us this mercy. Sorry.
So we need our own. We take Shon to the process of sadhana, and all the demons that Krishna kills are destroyed by practicing sadhana automatically. We don't have to do that ourselves outside of following. But then there are certain ones that we have to work on ourselves, and Krishna, he won't interfere with those. It's like our independent will. If you want to stay proud, I'm not going to take it away from you. It's your choice. And then if you decide you want to give up that pride, then Krishna is very pleased. But you need spiritual strength. You need the spiritual master's mercy to be able to do that.
Also, if we take Lord Balaram as Lord Nityananda, then to please him, he told us how to please him. Bhaja Goranga Kaha Goranga Laha Goranga Namare Jejana Goranga Bhaji Si Amara Pranare. So by spreading the holy name, by taking the name of Goranga as our life and soul, then we become very dear to Lord Nityananda, who is none other than Balaram. There was a nice pastime. Can I share this pastime of Krishna and Balaram? So, Lord, as we know, Yada Yada Hidar Mashiach, every millennium the Lord descends along with his associates, and they engage in pastimes together. So Krishna doesn't leave the spiritual world and leave all his friends behind. They all come with him. So they appeared as, Krishna and Balaram appeared in Kali Yuga as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Gaura and Nityananda. And all the devotees were there, but they noticed that somebody was missing. Does anybody remember who that person was? Lota Baba, right? If you go to Govardhan Hill, there's a temple at the tail of Govardhan Hill is seen from the top. It looks like a peacock, and at the tail of the feather, there's a temple to Lota Baba. So they noticed that he was missing. One cowherd boy, I think he has another name, but I can't remember it. If anybody knows it, they can say. So they said, we better go back and get him then, because we were playing hide and seek, and they forgot that they'd finished the game, but he never came. He was still hiding, I think. So Lord Nityananda says, I'll go and get him. So he went back to the spiritual world and he says, okay, it's time to come to earth for pastimes with Krishna. We're in Kali Yuga, we're doing Harinam Sankirtan. But in Kali Yuga, everybody is shortened, they're diminished in size. So Lota Baba says, who are you? He says, I'm Dauji, I'm Balaram. He says, no, you're not. Balaram's big and strong, you're a little smout, you're a little tiny guy. So Lord Nityananda tried to convince him that he was Balaram. He says, okay, if you're Balaram, then the only person that can beat me at running is Balaram. So I challenge you to a race and then we can see that you're not Balaram. So he said, okay, that's fine. So although Lord Nityananda's manifestation of Kali Yuga is very small in comparison to the Krishna Leela. So they had a race and Lord Nityananda won. And he says, okay, I accept. He says, but I'm not very happy about it. He wasn't happy because he got left behind. Now, if I remember rightly, he was in the past times as Dukhi Krishna Das. He was always quite miserable. He was always a bit kind of huffy. So yeah, that was just a little pastime to share.
Yeah, no. I thought it was Abhiram Thakur.
Maybe it was then.
Because he was always
Scrub that then. And Abhiram Thakur, he was
looked above, wasn't he?
Was he? Yeah, that'd be good to know. Maybe mixing two pastimes. The reason why Dukhi Krishna Das was called that.
What is interesting is that when Krishna appears, he tells all the demigods, come down and set everything up, plus all the different associates. So there's a lot of background organization going on. And then when Lord Chaitanya appears, he doesn't just come down on his own. He comes down with somebody, and some of them are devatas, some of them are nitya siddhas, some of them are eternal associates. And then they help to set up everything. He's saying to Rupa Goswami, get the books ready so that they can get distributed later by Srila Prabhupada. Everything's planned. So it's silly to think that after Srila Prabhupada that suddenly nobody else is going to be coming along to help. There's all the amazing personalities going to take part in spreading Lord Chaitanya's mission, not just up until Srila Prabhupada and then. Jai, any other questions or comments? I was just going to finish with one story, which is kind of related, but it was just Srila Prabhupada is making the point about how important it is to be Krishna conscious, and Duskritam, somebody that's against, is someone that's eligible to be killed in the previous incarnation anyway. And then Prabhupada is extolling the virtues of being Krishna conscious, and how it doesn't matter if the person appears to be irreligious, if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be a sadhu. So there was Dhanadhar Swami was telling us in Jagannath Puri that they were cultivating this high class South Indian Brahmin. He's like really pucker, comes in a family of Brahmins, and they're like they follow the Sri Sampradaya, so they're really clean and punctual, and everything's together. And there was a festival going on in the temple room at the time, and they were having a gulab eating competition. And this one devotee had really gone for it on the gulabs. And he had won the competition, but unfortunately, he had managed to get out of the temple in time before all the gulabs came back up in front of Srila Prabhupada's Murti in the temple room, you know. And this high-class South Indian Brahmin just stands up and then just walks out. And Dhanadhar Swami thought, okay, well, that's the end of his cultivation. We won't be seeing him again. And about 15 minutes later, as he came back in, he just quietly sat back down and carried on. Seeing us Prashadam, you know. And Dhanadhar Swami said, went over, he goes, is everything okay? I said, yeah. He said, I just had a realization. He goes, oh, what was that? He says, in this Krishna consciousness, there does not need to be any qualification. Just wholly and solely faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. And Guru Maharaj was just making the point as well recently that Vikriditam Vrajavadabhaya Idam Cha Vishnu is a verse from the 10th canto describing that Vrajavadabhaya, if you understand Vikriditam, the sporting pastimes, if you have faith in hearing those pastimes of Krishna's sporting affairs with the gopis, then the karma is destroyed in the heart. Even though there may be anarthas and unwanted things that are there, that's not a disqualification if you have faith in the pastimes of Krishna, in the pastimes of Balaram. Then that faith will absolve us of any other disqualification, purifies. So if you have that faith, hold on to it and increase it as much as you can through the association of devotees, through engaging in Sankirtan, both personal Sankirtan and public Sankirtan. And by the mercy of Lord Balaram, we'll finish this lifetime, go back where we belong.
Abhiram Thakur is Sri Dhamma, and Lota Baba is Raghava Pandit.
So was he always narky then?
What?
Was he always in a bad mood?
No, yeah, I got mixed up with Dukhi Krishna Das, but there was a certain attitude that he had on account of being left behind on that pastime. That is written somewhere, I can't remember where. I can look that up.
Jai Krishna Balaram ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Shishi Koditaya Maya Pashashi ki, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, all of you ki Jai, Balaram ki Jai.